"Another old story," Papa would say, leaning back in his rocking chair with a slow shake of his head. "The old Kings Branch Cemetery down in South Jackson. It's got a history that stays put." Anne didn't think much of it when her family moved into the old home place. Years before, her grandfather had grown up on the property, in a tiny house stuck away at the rear. What made the place uniquely unnerving was its proximity, sitting just feet away from the sprawling edge of an old forgotten cemetery. Anne had initially dismissed her grandfather's childhood recollections as campfire tales, told to rattle the nerves. He used to swear he was once yanked right out of his bed by his toes as a boy, only to sit up and find not a soul in the room. He spoke of nights when he would watch as a pale, flickering light of a lantern moved aimlessly through the headstones. Those stories became reality one restless winter night. Lying awake in the dark, Anne heard a soft, rhythmic knocking against her bedroom window, the one facing the cemetery. A cold shiver locked down her spine as her grandfather's words flashed uninvited through her mind. Gathering a fragile layer of bravery, she slipped out of the bed and crept to the glass. Outside, the graveyard lay drenched in the dim, washed-out glow of the moon. As she strained her eyes into the shadows, a faint pale yellow light caught her attention. She watched frozen and curious as the illumination drifted slowly through the rows of old graves before finally vanishing near the road. Anne fought off sleep for the rest of the night, half dreading, half awaiting another tap at the glass. The next morning, Anne shared what she had seen over breakfast with her parents. Her parents exchanged a heavy, disbelieving look, brushing it off as an overreactive imagination fueled by old legends. Later that evening, her parents drove into town for supplies, leaving Anne all alone in the creaking old house. Deciding to distract herself, she popped a tape into the VCR and settled on the couch. While the machine rewound the tape, a faint, disembodied voice drifted up from the basement stairwell, whispering her name. Anne. Without thinking, assuming it was her mother back early, Anne called out, "What is it?" In the exact second the words left her mouth, reality hit her like a physical blow. Her parents hadn't returned yet. The house was entirely empty. Right on cue, the light, insistent knocking resumed this time, the living room window. Paralyzed by a surge of pure terror, Anne bolted from the couch, threw open the front door, and sprinted down the driveway to wait by the road until her parents' headlights finally swept across the trees. When they arrived, she babbled out the terrifying sequence of events. Her parents did their best to console her, gently convincing her that the old house was just playing tricks on her nerves, and that it was safe to go back inside. After a quiet dinner, the family gathered in the living room, where a large window looked directly out toward the cemetery. While a movie played softly in the background, The tapping returned, sharp and deliberate against the window pane. "Listen," Anne whispered, her breath catching in her throat. Her father froze, hearing the distinctive rap. He quietly muted the television, stood up, grabbed his rifle from the corner, and flung open the front door, running barefoot out into a yard blanketed by freshly fallen snow. Anne watched as her father stopped near the corner of the house, his shoulders sagging in profound confusion. There, illuminated by the porch light, was a pristine, unbroken blanket of white. Not a single footprint, track or sign of anything, touched the freshly fallen snow. It didn't take much longer for the family to decide to pack their things and leave the old house behind, joining the long line of previous residents who learned the hard way that the restless spirits of King's Branch never remain to their graves.